Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of IKnowTheOwner. In today's episode, I am a personal friend of the owner. Who do you answer to? Apparently someone owns my business, and I didn't know it. You can't park there. I live there. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. I am a personal friend of the owner. Who do you answer to? So disclaimer, this is one I witnessed, not one that directly happened to me. So when I was young, my mother worked for a car dealership owned by this really nice older guy. Like, this guy was really well off, very well spoken, not what an American would think of as a posh American accent, not that extreme, but if you're English, you've probably got a good idea. He owned the dealership, the building, the land, at least half a dozen other businesses in the area, and most of the land and commercial properties in the town. But for all that, he was also the kind of guy who would hear that his staff's 14-year-old child was getting a hamster, and go, "My daughter used to have a hamster," and 3 days later he just gave my mum like 400 pounds worth of Rotostack hamster stuff. Every year he'd do the whole showroom up for Christmas, dress up as Santa, and give out presents to the kids in the area, etc. Anyway, the reason I remember this was because it was the day my mum took me over to her work so I could say thank you for the hamster stuff. So we got there, and we were waiting for him to be free. I was talking to the people at the desk, because I knew all of them, when suddenly we heard this woman's raised voice. Looked over to see this old woman, old to a 14-year-old, so she could have been anything between 40 and 60, with the owner, and she was absolutely laying into him because they couldn't do whatever it was she wanted. Now everyone working there always wore a red jumper, but not a name badge, because everyone's desk had a nameplate. By chance, I was wearing a reddish jumper, not the same red, not even a particularly similar red, that day. The woman comes up to me. I can only assume she must have been short-sighted or something, because my 14-year-old face did not look anywhere near working age. I could more easily have passed for a 10-year-old than a 16-17-year-old, and my entire work experience at that point was help put magazines in envelopes to post for like £3 per 250. K. I need to book my car in, and a loan car. Oh, the service desk is over there. No, I didn't sound like an adult either. K. No, I told you. Now, go get it sorted. I need to be gone in 10 minutes. I'm sorry, I don't work here. I'm not even oldie dash. At that point, she cut me off and went off. I don't have time for your excuses. I need to be gone in 10 minutes. Now get me that loan car, you stupid child. A moment later, a hand came down on my shoulder. I look up, and who is it? Yep, the owner. Oh, I'll handle this, AXW, how can I help, madam? I backed off to the service desk and watched. The service guys were already giving WTF looks to each other, but the woman just got louder and shriller. K. I am a close personal friend of John Jeffries, the owner. Now, I need my service and a loan car. Oh, do you have a booking? K. I don't need a booking, I'm a friend of the owner. Oh, unfortunately, madam, the workshop is fully booked today, but we can book you in for a later date. K. You'll do it today. That's IT. Who do you answer to? At this point, everyone in the room, and some back office staff, were looking at her. This is where the owner gave an answer that I will never forget because it was so calm and quiet. Oh, madam, I answer to no one but God. K. What? That's IT, what's your name? You and that disrespectful child are gone. Oh, John Jeffries, the owner, and to the best of my knowledge, we've never met. Also, that child is literally a child, not an employee. She kind of froze, then he gestured to the org chart thing they used to have on the wall, with his face right at the top of it, above the word owner. She left and earned the ignoble quality of being one of only 2 customers who he ever wrote to saying you are no longer welcome at our business in over 35 years of owning the company. Apparently someone owns my business, and I didn't know it. So I run a small little business from the local farmer's market. I'm an artisan and specialize in toys made of yarn. Now I'll first say that after 5 years of doing this I have learned one fact. Most people assume that yarn-related hobbies are dying hobbies. That young folks don't do them, which is such bullsh*t. They're huge. We're before the pandemic and seem even bigger now. So I get a lot of older folks who are shocked that I know what I'm doing, when the stuff I do is rather easy to learn and pick up. It's hardly advanced stuff. In fact, I teach beginner classes on the side. Anyway, so on one kinda quiet day I am vending. Now when it's quiet like this, I am usually busy making new product and also listening to an audiobook with one earbud in my ear. When someone approaches, I pause and discreetly take out the bud and put it down. Not a big deal. It's my job and I take it seriously. I just need something while I work. My hobby is often one done while watching TV. So I do this, and this older woman, maybe in her mid-40s, approaches. She notices me pause and take my earbud. Most people don't see as they are looking at the product, but she has been staring at me. I smile at her and greet her. She ignores me and first, and then looks down at the product. She picks them up and studies them, and is nodding her head. She then says, "Catherine's work always impressed me." I have no idea who Catherine is. There is also a huge sign behind me with my business name and my name in full. I stare for a moment, wondering if she saw someone nearby named Catherine, but I know all the other vendors. No one named Catherine. So I asked, "Who is Catherine?" She looks at me like I'm an idiot and says, "Your boss." I tell her I don't have a boss. I'm the owner. I explain that I made all this product myself, and I have no employees. She shakes her head and tells me that no, I didn't make any of this product, and I need to stop lying. I motion to the half-done product in front of me that I have been working on all morning. She scoffs and says that clearly is garbage in comparison to Catherine's work. She says that she's going to contact Catherine and tell her that her employee is claiming her work, tells me I'm a terrible person, and just leaves. I am so confused and tell my table neighbor a bit later as we joke about rude customers we have all the time. She calls them more stories, and I tell her what happened. Well, turns out she knows who Catherine is. She did another yarn-related hobby and sold her work over 20 years ago and retired 10 years ago. So Catherine did vend at my market, but she did a very different hobby related to yarn. Think like, if I made wielded statues with scrap metal, and she made jewelry from bending and curling metal. Made of the same materials, but very different in terms of style and function and techniques to actually make the product. So Catherine, if by some miracle you do read this, hee. Sorry if you may have gotten one confusing message from some woman who thought I was pretending to be you. Your work sounds lovely from what my table neighbor told me. You can't park there. I live there. Obligatory on mobile. My parents have owned our beach property for 30 years. They bought it outright in the 80s and flipped it into what is now their retirement property. When I was younger, we only stayed on vacations from school, but about 10 years ago Mom was tired of the cold, and they made the move there permanently. I moved into the other side of the duplex about 2 years ago, as I was coming out of a bad time, and being home with my family was both emotionally and financially a win for me. The downside of this property is that while my father installed a driveway, it only fits his car and Mom's, so I usually park on the street outside. Since we live in a high tourist area, and on the beach, as soon as you step off our stairs you're officially on the public street, so parking is a complete nightmare. This will be relevant in a second. One day, I'm coming home and by sheer luck I find a spot right outside my door. I pull my car in and I'm getting my things together when a man, who I'll now refer to as Kevin, begins knocking on my window. "Kevin, excuse me, what do you think you're doing?" "Me, parking my car?" "K, you can't park here." I'm pretty sure I can. It's public parking." "K, no, I live here and your car is blocking the stairs to my house." I'm sorry? You live here?" "I had no idea. How long have you lived here?" "K, why does that matter? It's my house and I'm telling you, you can't park here." At this point, I'm trying not to laugh in his face as I get out of my car and start walking up my front steps. Kevin begins screaming at me to get off his property or he will call the police. My dad, hearing the commotion, comes outside and asks what the problem is. Here is the thing about my dad: I'm the only daughter to a 6 feet 1 inch 225 pounds Italian man. He has little to no patience for anyone even looking at me funny. I don't want this to turn into a bigger thing than it already is, so I just casually inform him that I wasn't aware we had a new person living with us, and it would have been nice to be informed. Dad's confused, Kevin is slinking back to his car, and I'm about to pee myself laughing. We all had a great laugh about this, and still weeks later bring it up when we need a pick-me-up. The only sad part: I have 1,000,001 more stories just like this, because apparently the world is full of Karens and Kevins.